Galaxy of Film presents
Perfect organism.
The blackest eyes,
Black eye, like a doll's eye.
I admire its purity.
is purely and simply ethereal.
Monster Mayhem.
Alright guys, welcome back to the brain episode of Galaxy of Film and the first episode of this year's Monster Mayhem here at Galaxy of Film. I'm of course your host Max. We have my co-host Akari Holder. How's it going, bro?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm surviving. We just had a little rant off air, of course, and how the week's going. For our listeners, I don't want to sound like an absolute plague era wimp, but I am still sick, so I just excuse me if my voice isn't great, excuse me my hair not being a curly mess like it normally is and all that, but yeah, surviving, dude. It's surviving another day, and here we are talking about some more movies, of course, but we are joined with our other co-host for the Monster Mayhem season, as of course William Kish. How's it going, bro?
It's going pretty good. This is the best time of the year.
Yeah,
It's spooky season. I'm really happy that we're getting to do Monster Mayhem again. This is just my favorite type of films to talk about, are just these absolutely insane horror movies. If there's some kind of goopy monster in it, or a guy turning into something horrible, like, that's my shit. That's my jam. And we're talking about two absolutely insane movies today. So I'm glad to be able to cover these.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad we're able to do this again too. Last year you came up with this idea and of kind of doing this on the podcast as kind of like an inner season, like inner show thing, like its own self-contained. You know, this isn't its own series. This is just its own, almost like an ABC Family, 12 Days of Christmas type of feel, but for horror and for monsters on the podcast. And we had a lot of fun with it last season too. We had a big finale talking about Terrifier 3 and Cannibal Holocaust with our friends at Tinsley Studios, the special effects team for Terrifier. And it was a lot of fun, dude. It was cool. But this year, I am so happy to announce, and our listeners have already seen and heard this by now this far in the episode, but we've officially branded this inner show. You came with this really cool logo we have going on here, this new audio intro for it. We have this new backdrop for this specific series going on. I'm feeling it this year, dude. I'm feeling festive as hell, and I love it. This is a really cool and fun time for Galaxy of Film. So yeah, dude, if you want to go ahead and just explain to our listeners real quick, I know you gave already a little bit of the history of Monster Mayhem, but just tell them what this series is, if you will.
So basically, I mean, this is my hyperfixation. So I was very it was like last year I was talking to Max and I was like, hey, what's something that I could bring to the table as something that I could hop on and do like a themed month. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it and I was like, hey, what if I did during the month of October, we just cover like movies, like any kind of like horror film. Even though it's called Monsters Mayhem, it is kind of a broad term. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be, we have serial killers, we're gonna have death itself is gonna be involved in this season. So I just really wanted to highlight very specific films that I love to talk about, and some movies that I've maybe never seen before, mm-hmm. that I want to try out for the first time. It's just this really fun themed month because I'm absolutely obsessed with Halloween, and as you could, for video people on YouTube, you could see that I'm completely surrounded by monsters behind me. So
gotta love it.
So yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I couldn't be more excited for this, genuinely, dude. Like I said, I'm so happy. We've gone the mile this year to kind of actually officially brand this show. I got a t-shirt ordered for this coming up soon too, some con appearances coming up. I'm pumped, dude. And for this first episode of Monster Mayhem this season, we were talking about Lovecraft, which is interesting because unless it's been a pure coincidence, we're talking one-off movie paired with something else. We haven't talked Lovecraft here on Galaxy of Film before, so this will be an interesting one for sure. We're discussing From Beyond and Color Out of Space. I'm also really happy that we're getting to Color Out of Space finally. That was something I saw in theaters, and I'll kind of discuss my experience of seeing that in a theater in a little bit. But we did discuss the other movie that it kind of gets paired with quite a bit, and that's Mandy with Nicolas Cage.
Right.
That's because same producers, and I believe I want to say the same writer. I could be wrong on that though, but I know it's the same producers though as Mandy. And it's also part of like a Shudder exclusive that wave when Shudder was kind of finding its first steps too. So yeah, here we are kind of completing the circle finally after all these years that we started with Mandy. But before we even get into the films this week and starting off Monster Mayhem, we have some announcements, we have some news, and I have some other media to discuss this week as well. So let's go ahead and move on to that. First up for some in-house announcements. As we mentioned a few weeks ago, Dakari, your directorial debut, Man of the House, is out now. Our listeners need to go ahead and check that out. The link's down below, of course, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can literally just go ahead and click right over to the left or to the right. I don't know what side the screen is for you guys. But it's there. Watch it, dude. Man, I'm so proud of you for this final cut, dude. I've already raved about this numerous times on the podcast. But, couldn't be more proud. Couldn't be more excited for the world to see that film. So check it out, guys, if you haven't already. Will, I know you also already talked about this a few weeks ago, too. And I know you'll talk about it coming soon because it, releases in just a few days on October 10th. But you dropped a new trailer for Acts of Violence. You want to talk about that real quick?
Oh, yeah. This is something I've been looking forward to for a very long time. This is a movie that we've been working on for, it was around this time last year that I started working on the script for it. It was a very long filming process. We got interrupted by a bunch of holidays and people had to, go off and do things and come back. But but it all worked out, and I'm super happy with the edit that just, the way it all came together, and the music is awesome. I got my friend Jeff. He's never done soundtrack music like that before. But when we mixed it in an actual studio, it sounds amazing. It's better than I was even hoping for. Oh, yeah, so yeah, that's finally putting the whole thing together and seeing that final product with the music. It's that, because that's the most important part of a horror movie is your sound. How is it, what is the vibe going into each scene, and that was the thing that was key. And that's I'm so proud of how it all came together. We just came out with a new teaser. You can go check that out. I'm trying my best not to spoil things because there is a huge twist in the movie. But anyways, Acts of Violence is also it's about a wannabe serial killer. He's stalking this girl, and he's documenting himself as he's doing it, creating his manifesto, and he goes for the kill. He tries to go, hunt down this girl, and things go very wrong for him. So
hell yeah, dude.
That's all I'll say. Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited for that as well. Like I said, I've already been raving about Man of the House nonstop. I was raving a little bit about Acts of Violence last week on the podcast too, dude. I'm pumped. I haven't seen the final cut of this one yet, though. Yeah, I'm pumped for this, genuinely, dude.
I'm gonna probably upload it soon for private, so we could send it to
Patreon and the fan club
and stuff like that. So you can check about that.
Yeah, so join the Patreon and the fan club on Facebook if you guys haven't already for early access of Acts of Violence. Also, for our listeners too, we do have another. Thank you for reminding me, Will. But we have another piece coming out of Patreon and the fan club too. Got an exclusive interview with Jerry Trainer from Drake and Josh and iCarly that we're dropping this week for those platforms. So check it out. I know Brandon's working hard on a project that he's really passionate about. That's dropping a really cool hour-long piece for Patreon and then kind of breaking up certain chunks for YouTube. So look forward for Drunk Table Reads by Brandon. Cannot wait for that. It's a great first episode of that series. But yeah, can't wait for all this stuff coming out. And speaking of other things that are in the works coming out, of course, we do have our GoFundMe for the film I'm currently working on that we have everyone from Galaxy of Film joining on. And that's, of course, Would You Like Fries With That? The GoFundMe also covers a different film that we talked a bit more extensively last week called Project News. Working title, but the GoFundMe covers both. Link down below if you want to help support those films. Couldn't be more excited to work and film on those. Genuinely some of the best stuff we've ever shot, in my opinion. But speaking of crowdfunding, The Blue Means Pregnant Films production, Natasha Hall 3, aka She's So Hot, still has a GoFundMe going on for that as well. Link down below if you want to go ahead and help support their film. Cannot wait to see this. Joe is such an incredible director, and Kat is such an incredible actress. Really, really excited to see where they come up with this film. All the behind the scenes stuff I've been looking at is just absolutely mind blowing. I also want to go ahead and plug something else real quick, to release by one of our good friends of the podcast and the company. That is, of course, the one and only Chris Sorrentino. He published a book with his buddy John, dude. If you've listened to any of our podcasts, you already know Chris is a fucking riot and he's hilarious. But these guys also working on Practical Jokers. If you're just not familiar with their comedy style, but you're familiar with that show, if that tells you anything, they released a joke book. Nerdy, Dirty, and Tasteless Star Wars Jokes for. This is just fucking hilarious, dude. Link down below to buy this on Amazon. It's like $10. I haven't bought a joke book since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's something you usually in our era or our generation, you were getting at like the book fair or something like that. You don't really see those at Walmart or Barnes & Noble even. So this just felt like such a great like blast of the past even. And then also there's original illustrations that accompany these jokes. I don't want to spoil this without Chris's consent on the podcast. I'm not going to show you any of these. But check it out. This book is absolutely great. I accidentally read like the last joke first, which is just a fucking riot. Yeah, congratulations to these two guys. Couldn't be more proud of you as well. Last thing I want to go ahead and plug too, if you're in the North Carolina area, someone else that we're affiliated with, Galaxy of Film, has started their own business that I want to go ahead and help promote, and that is, of course, Grace Adriana. If you're not familiar with her by name, she is in my film as the young mother and she also has a role in Project News as well. She started her own business, a bartending service called The Overpour. So link down below to their Facebook page. If you're in the North Carolina area and you know, need some alcohol service, hit them up. Hopefully we can work something out and get them involved with some of our future events in the future, you know, whether it be a full-blown showcase or kind of like the mini showcase we did at the Lone Rider. I don't know. We're definitely going to go with them though. So check them out as well. That's the Overpours. But yeah, let's talk about news this week. That's enough for in-house announcements. We're going to talk about the good thing first, because I don't want us to get stuck on the bad side of this piece of news. But yeah, we have a sequel announced, and I could not be more excited, dude. I've been begging for this for damn near 20 years. We're officially getting a Simpsons movie sequel. This will be releasing July 23rd, 2027, just 4 days before the anniversary, or the 20th anniversary of the Simpsons movie, which means they held up to their word with the couch gag and I think it was the movie, if I'm not mistaken, where Bart writes, "We will not take 20 years to make a sequel." 4 days in advance before we hit the mark. What a fucking genius idea, dude. I loved how that landed the way it did. I don't think it was intentional for a sequel to take 20 years to make, but you know what? If we're waiting an extra year, if we kind of get to have that delayed by another year or 6 months, whatever, for that joke to land, I'm totally cool with it, dude. Fuck it.
Yeah, I feel like they actually finished the movie like 10 years ago, but they've just been like just holding on to it because they know about the meme where it's, oh, the Simpsons predicted this.
Yeah.
So they just were like, yeah, you know, it'd be really funny. Just like release it later.
I'd love that if that's the truth, dude. I'm a huge fan of the Simpsons. I've always raved about them. Thankfully, we had the honor of having Bill Morrison, who's worked on some of the original Simpsons and the original film too. They come on the podcast, discuss that first movie. Could not be more excited for this, genuinely. And I'm so happy it has that like prime weekend slate in July. Like that's where all the Marvel movies drop. That's where like the summer box office hit comes out. And it's going back to the Simpsons, dude. I'm so pumped. Dakari, let me hear your thoughts on the Simpsons sequel happening.
I mean, I've never really been, I've only watched bits and pieces of The Simpsons growing up, so I'm not really an active fan. I've always appreciated it, and I remember when the Simpsons movie came out, it was such a big thing, so this is going to be another big thing that people are going to catch on to, so...
Dude, you were young when that came out, bro. You were like, what, 5? Because I was 7.
Yeah.
So what year was it?
That was 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn,
I was 8.
Yeah, god damn. We're growing up, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Will, what are your thoughts on the sequel finally coming out?
I absolutely adored the first movie when it came out. I was like a big Simpsons fan when I was a kid. I had like several of like the early seasons just on DVD. I also just love watching like the Treehouse of Horror.
Oh,
They would come out with like a
classics.
DVD where it's just we should cover those one day.
Oh yeah,
Maybe next Monster Mayhem we could do a Treehouse of Horror just like
I would
episode, just
love
talk
that,
about that.
dude.
That'd be awesome. And yeah, I always wanted to see a sequel to that movie because that was like a big event for me going and watching it. I used to rewatch it just all the time. And like since then I've fallen out of like I don't really care that much about The Simpsons anymore.
Oh, so I watch it weekly still.
I hear every once in a while, oh, that's still going. I'm like, fuck, like really? Like
Yeah.
it's still going? Like it was like 20 years old when I was watching it 20 years ago. Like
Yeah.
what the hell?
That's hilarious.
We're coming up on like
So-
season 36, I think.
That's wild. Imagine
Yeah.
that owning every single season of The Simpsons.
That's
just
a-
like
I
a
could
box
rant about
set.
that as well, dude. Because now that Disney owns it, we only had the first 20, and they'll never print the rest of them physically. They said, yeah,
What?
because it was something like Fox. They were so inconsistent with it. They dropped the ball on it, and they released the first 17 seasons. And then when season 20 came out, that was a big deal, and so they skipped 18 and 19. Release season 20 to like get that end of the season like holiday like box off or like the sales basically for like Black Friday and shit for it, and never went back. And then so when Disney then acquired Fox, they finally released seasons 18 and 19 physically as kind of like, all right, we're gonna finish, so the first 20 are out there, but we're not doing anything past that, unfortunately. I wish, dude, to death. I do.
That's evil.
It is.
Yeah, I hate that.
I do too. And so it's been a goal. I have most of them physically. Of course, I have the movie physically as well. Just couldn't be more excited for this thing, dude. I have like the soundtrack on CD, and it's like the case is a donut too. The Hans Zimmer track. I just love them, dude. And I'll say this too.
One other thing.
Go ahead.
One little other thing that from when I was a kid. The PS2 game.
Hit and run?
Simpsons Home and Run. Yeah, Hit and Run. That's
So
shit.
it's oh my god, that was my first ever Let's Play on YouTube. Was doing Hit and Run.
Yeah.
And I've only beaten the game one time because that last level is fucking hard as shit. And I beat that at like 11, so you can hear prepubescent Max just scream and lose his mind after finally beating that game after years. Just incredible, dude. Simpsons skateboarding I loved, even though I know it's not a great game. Simpsons Road Rage is also incredible. All the Simpsons games even good too, dude. Just good stuff, man. I love The Simpsons. And I'll say this too. It might be a hot take for some. I know some think that like The Simpsons are kind of washed out, or just have gone on too long. The last 2 seasons have been genuinely great, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like they don't have the same magic that the first like 15 or so did necessarily, but like they found their own kind of footing with modern Simpsons finally. I think we had a few years where it was kind of not whatever, but like passable. The Simpsons is something to me that's always aged better than it has come on live and in the modern era since like season 25 and up. Like looking back a couple years later, I don't mind it so much, but like once we're relying on like all the iPhone and tech stories is where it's kind of like, but the last 2 seasons have been really, really good yet again. So I'm pumped for this new season. It starts, I think, next week actually, or maybe this upcoming weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll definitely be watching it live. You might hear some of my thoughts as the season goes on, especially with Treehouse of Horror coming out in just a few weeks too. So maybe we'll, I'd love to do a full episode next season, dude. That's a great idea, actually. We'll have to put a pin in that. But yeah, the other piece of news I want to talk about real quick before we move on and get to our movies this week finally, is the Tilly Norwood situation. If you guys aren't familiar with this is, Tilly Norwood is the first AI actress that's being signed by studios. This is something we've all kind of talked about, here and there in the podcast for the last like year and a half since AI has gotten bigger and bigger. I feel like this kind of attempt is a bit inevitable by a studio, so I'm not surprised it's come this early. But yeah, I mean, it's overall a really disgusting thing. I think that's needless to say, especially coming from all 3 filmmakers right here. But I also just think the way this was revealed has been absolutely pathetic, to be real with you. Like, we're just going to drop a Variety headline or just an IGN article on it kind of thing. It's not like we're revealing this with a film to try to show the capabilities with this. Like if you're, this isn't me trying to justify this whatsoever, but if you're a studio that's trying to make this leap, that's even further than the shady shit Disney has done by like using AI scans for background extras and then the MCU stuff. If you're a studio that's trying to sell this and make this land, I don't understand why you're announcing it before you do it, I guess. Like
it's because this is a scam. The technology just is not there yet.
Yeah.
But they're going to, because maybe in like 5 years,
Mhm.
it's probably going to be indistinguishable, and you will be able to just like fully kind of render these people in films, and it'll look seamless. But right now, it's all dog shit. I mean, every time somebody posts a thing like, "Oh, look, filmmakers should be really terrified," and it's just like the same. It's just like one shot of a person,
Mm-hmm.
just like moving slightly.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, look at how realistic that looks. And it's like, yeah, okay. And that's why I'm sure some tech bro piece of shit was like, here's my actress that I typed it into this prompt and it generated. Now let me try to make as much money right now, because all these studio heads are like looking for the next big innovation for how to, spend as little money as possible as they, on actual paying people. And so, yeah, like they're feeling it out right now. And this is, hopefully there's another actor strike. That's what I think should absolutely happen to make it so that this shit just doesn't fucking happen. Because
I absolutely agree on that.
It's completely useless. It's anti-art in every way. Like I love actors and like, what's the point? Like in watching an AI generated like movie, like, because there's no actual skill or labor or anything human about it for me to care about.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. I was trying to get to that too, how I want a strike to kind of be the reaction from this, and I think because this studio has kind of fumbled the launch or the announcement of this, I think that will be the result. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long that'll last. Obviously, we weren't expecting the last one to kind of last as long as it did, just because we thought there'd be some human decency, you know what I'm saying, within the industry.
Oh no.
But yeah, but no. So we'll see, dude. It's only a matter of time, though. I 100% agree. 100%. Dakari, what are your thoughts on this? Are you lining up for the Tilly Norwood premiere, or are you also, stand there with the strike fence, just like we're going against Mr. Krabs?
You'll never see me line up for a Tilly Norwood premiere. You just never see that. Like, I mean, I understand that AI has become such a high commodity that, we have to be aware of the capacity that it's being distributed among, people nowadays and among the masses. And I respect that, and I respect that people are able to use it as a resource, but it's become such a crutch.
Yeah.
It's become such a crutch to major Hollywood name brand entities and studios, and it's just pitiful, dude.
Absolutely.
It's pitiful. Like, I don't even think I have more else to say on that. I mean, that's that.
No, I agree, dude. I agree. We'll see what happens of this. I hope to God we never see Tilly Norwood on the fucking big screen. I can't believe that's even a statement I'm having to say out loud. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully we don't
There's
get that
no
far.
way you see me.
That being said,
show up to that shit.
Acts of Violence 2 is going to be fully AI generated. Tilly Norwood will be the main actress. I'm
crazy as hell.
I mean, think about it. I don't have to deal with scheduling.
Yeah, no.
I don't got to do makeup. I don't got to, make sure everybody's, how's the camera doing? Oh, we got to get a new camera. Ah, shit. Fuck. All right. I'm starting to understand it.
Here.
Yeah, dude. You know what? No, Acts of Violence 2 dropping, October 20th, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We'll see, man. We'll see how this goes. We'll, of course, be following this up the next several weeks, as I assume this is something that's going to be discussed or discussed rather sooner than later in the industry. So I don't know. We'll be covering it as more comes out, of course. Moving on real quick before we start talking about our films, just discussing some other media very, very briefly. I haven't watched any shows this week. I know I'm an episode behind on Peacemaker. Apparently this last episode was incredible. I'll let you guys know next week on my thoughts on that. I've been playing a lot of fucking games lately, dude. Playing a ton of stuff. Recently got this for $10 and just beat it over the weekend. Dead Island 2. Great game on PlayStation. Just started Sonic Frontiers and Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I am such a fan of Pac-Man World 2 on PS2. A little fun fact, I actually got that game from my Aunt Sarah, who unfortunately passed away. If you guys saw Novex, my film, I have a tribute to her on the fridge next to the title card. So she got me a Pac-Man World 2 as a kid on PS2 when it came out. So fucking excited to play this remake. It's great so far, loving it. Speaking of remakes, also loving the hell out of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's incredible, playing the fuck out of that this past few weeks. I haven't read much when it comes to comics. However, I did read Absolute Wonder Woman issue 12 today. This came out last week. Incredible. We just finished the current storyline, moving on to the third one next week. Or next month, excuse me. So excited to see where we're going with the character introduced. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Check it out. We'll talk about more next month when we actually have the character making the full appearance.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I saw a picture. Yeah.
It'll be really cool, dude. But we kind of finished the whole maze arc with Ferdinand being introduced. Just great stuff. I'm so excited to see where this version of Wonder Woman goes and seeing how she interacts with this universe. I know Scott Snyder did a whole interview on why we're seeing the Batman and Wonder Woman crossover happen through Wonder Woman. And it makes a lot of sense. She is the searcher. She is the one who has the most hope, and she's the one who wants to explore the world more. So very excited to see where that goes. Wonder Woman is still top notch. Batman is still top notch. I know Batman number 2 comes out next week. You guys will hear my thoughts on that on the podcast. The following week, just because we record Tuesdays and comics on Wednesdays, of course. But yeah, dude, loving everything that's coming out. Loving absolutely all of it. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break, guys. When we come back, we're going to go over our podcast polls for the week. We're going to go over our stream of the week brought to you by Tyler. And we're going to go ahead and start discussing some Lovecraft with From Beyond and Color Out of Space. So we'll be right back, guys.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Our rating system is inspired by the planets from the Star Wars films. From highest to lowest, this is how we do our rankings. Number 5.
Coruscant. The entire planet is one big city.
Number 4.
Bespin. We're pretty far, but I think we can make it.
Number 3.
Hold me like you did by the lake on Naboo.
Number 2.
Set your course for the Hoth system.
And lastly, number 1.
Back to Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Stream of the week here on the Disney Plus side. Do you like feet? Do you like sea creatures? Do you like the character from Borat voicing another thing in a kid's movie? Luca D's nuts. I'm just kidding. It's really funny. This kid becomes a land creature. He's a sea monster, but his grandma's been doing it the whole time to go play cards with the humans. This movie I've been thinking about a lot lately because it really made me want a Vespa, like the moped thing. Apparently they're pretty popular over in Italy, and I see people driving them around Las Vegas every day, and they just look like a lot of fun. That's why I chose this movie for this one, because it made Vespas look cool. Sea monsters and shit.
All right, guys, and we're back from our break. I know we usually do this before the break segment for this season. However, we're going to discuss it afterwards, just because it's a little bit different. We were running behind on time last time. But yeah, let's go over the podcast polls for this week. Like we mentioned before, we are, of course, discussing some Lovecraft with From Beyond and Color Out of Space. From Beyond was, 86, I think, Will? Or something like that? Yeah, 86, okay. And Color Out of Space is 2019. So yeah, Dakari, if you want to go ahead and go over the polls this week, I know we asked the fan club on Facebook and also the Instagram page. How are they feeling on these films, dude?
On Instagram, 45% of people say that From Beyond is good.
Okay.
55% of people say that Color Out of Space is good.
Interesting. Okay.
So a lot more people prefer Color Out of Space over From Beyond.
Okay.
Okay.
And what we're looking at over on the fan club.
Fan club. Jesus Christ. 0% votes for Color Out of Space, and everyone voted for From Beyond.
All right. Interesting, dude. We're gonna talk From Beyond first. I'll go ahead and say this is a first time watch for myself. Dakari, was this a first time watch for you?
Yep, both of these were first time watches.
Okay, cool. Will, is this something you grew up on? Because I know all of Monster Mayhem, for our listeners that aren't aware, these are all also topics that like Will kind of pitches and suggests, and you know, this, you are like the heart and the backbone of this series. These are mainly your topics here. Was this something you've watched for the first time, or was this like a thing you grew up with? Where are you at with this?
No, so I think I watched this for the first time maybe about 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was one that I had seen like a couple videos about. Because like as a little kid, I was like 7 years old when I watched John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
And that completely changed my life forever. And so now I love any type of movie that delves into that kind of Cronenberg, just crazy body horror, cosmic horror and stuff like that. And then you find out that like H.P. Lovecraft is this prolific writer from the early kind of 1900s who really revolutionized the entirety of like sci-fi horror writing, really created it really created just the whole genre of like cosmic horror. And so this was one being a adaptation directly from one of his short stories, also called just From Beyond. And so I was very interested in checking this out. Also, the main character is the lead star from Reanimator. That's another very famous film. This is also the same director as from Reanimator. So yeah, this has kind of become a part of my like rotation of like every couple of years. Cool. Once we get around to Halloween, I always like to check this one out again.
Cool, dude.
It's got all that stuff that I love from these types of just like 80s body horror, just craziness.
It does feel like it's almost like a checklist. You're right. It does kind of check off every box to meet that as well. And it is a cool Halloween watch. It's interesting to hear you mention Reanimator. Funny enough, I still haven't seen that film yet, but that is what the equivalent to From Beyond for me is. I always hear more about that. I've seen clips of that. I've been meaning to pick up because it's like Arrow, I think, that did the Blu-ray or 4K. Always mean to pick it up, but just never end up grabbing it during like the Barnes & Noble sales, unfortunately. Maybe I'll do that this next time finally and get around to actually watching that. Maybe we can discuss it next Monster Mayhem. But yeah, dude, it is cool to kind of hear that being brought up, and it's the same director. It gives me a lot more respect for this film in general.
It's also Lovecraft too, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
That's another Lovecraft story.
I didn't know that. See, my thing of Lovecraft, dude, I'm not the biggest Lovecraft fan, to be 100% honest with you.
Me neither.
Like,
me neither.
I'll dive more into this with Color Out of Space, but like, from my understanding, out of, like I said before, unless it's just a pure coincidence that we've covered in the podcast or I've seen, like Color Out of Space is the only like thing I've gone into knowing it's Lovecraft. Just because I don't care too much about like some of the stories, to be honest with you. Not saying it's bad or trying to put it down, but like, it's not necessarily my thing. It's something I respect more than I like. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of niche for me. I did watch this with my girlfriend Kate as well. I know she's also not the biggest Lovecraft fan, mainly because of like some of the racism and sexism in throughout his writing, which we're not going to talk too much about here. I mean, you can have a whole discussion on just his writing alone. We're here to focus on the films, of course. But regardless, like, it's never been something that's been super prominent in either my family or relationships or like just an interest in general. So definitely a first time watch for me. Well, I want you to give the recap on these films today, if you don't mind as well. If you want to keep it brief, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and dive into From Beyond.
So From Beyond opens. There's these two physicists working in this really creepy big house. And they're working on this like weird machine. Our guy, hold on, what's his name? Jeffrey Combs, of course, the actor from Reanimator, is one of the scientists, and he He turns on this machine. All of a sudden, there's this just basking in bisexual lighting, and it turns out that this machine it expands your pineal gland in your brain so that you are becoming hyper aware of other entities that exist in higher dimensional spaces that are constantly swimming around you at all times. But the trade-off here is that they also can see you when you turn the machine on. So the other kind of lead scientist shows up, and something horrible comes after them. Then we find out later that the other scientist, his head just got completely, he got decapitated. His head they can't even find his head. And the Jeffrey Combs' character, he's just like, this creature came and it ate his head. So obviously they think he's just completely batshit crazy. He's in a psych ward, and this lady shows up who's also kind of a fringe psychiatrist. She's got all these new kind of methods that the people at the psych ward really don't respect. And the police are also completely dumbfounded. They don't really know how to explain this murder. And so they're like, fuck it. You want to take that guy back to that house and figure out if his experiment was actually real? And they're like, sure, let's do it. And so they send the psychiatrist lady with Jeffrey Combs, and then also my favorite character in the movie is this detective named Bubba, who also joins along. And yeah, basically it's just like a haunted house movie from there for a little while. They turn on the machine. They see a bunch of goopy monsters. It turns out that the scientist from the beginning of the movie that got killed, actually, his consciousness has fused with these creatures from this other dimension. And it also, by the way, turns out that the pineal gland is tied to your sex drive. So we get a lot of real it's steamy scenes in this movie.
It's for sure a horny movie, dude.
It's very horny, and
it's horny as shit. I wasn't expecting that.
And basically, so Jeffrey Combs' character ends up getting almost devoured by this gigantic worm monster. Looks like it just crawled off of David Lynch's Dune set.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And so, but once he gets spit out of this thing, it turns out that it was kind of mutating him while he's being devoured by it. So now his pineal gland is huge. It starts sticking out of his fucking head like an antenna. And they end up leaving the house. They go back to the psych ward. Jeffrey Combs escapes, starts eating brains. They end up back at the house because they realize they need to shut off this machine before somebody else turns it on, and unleashes this cosmic horror from beyond onto the rest of humanity. And yeah, they end up blowing up the machine and leaving our psychiatrist lady completely, just her mind has been completely destroyed from these horrific events. And yeah, that's From Beyond.
Yeah, dude. Right off the bat, I gotta say, what really locked me out of this movie, and this movie kind of solidified it for me too, and helped me put in my own words. Finally, I dig the trope of scientist knows what's up, basically knows the truth, and is deemed mad. But he's not a mad scientist, but the society thinks he is, and they kind of restrain him or lock him up. Or put him through something. It reminded me so much of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with Oxford's character. I know not a lot of people love that movie. I love Crystal Skull. I'll defend that to the day I die, dude. But yeah, I really dig the whole, I think his name's Codwell in this, if not mistaken, Professor Codwell. Or am I tripping on that? Something similar.
Crawford,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I really dug that from the beginning of it and had me locked in. I also really enjoyed Bubba's character. He's pretty ridiculous. He's definitely the comedic relief, maybe unintentionally. There's this whole sequence where I'm forgetting her name, but the woman doctor, she turns on the resonator when she's not supposed to while everyone's asleep. It wakes up Crawford. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck? We got to go downstairs and turn this off." Then Bubba wakes up and he's in his like a speedo basically, and he just like tackles Crawford as he's going down the stairs, and I think it's completely unintentional. There's no way I think
very
that.
intentional.
Well, I think
There's no way.
It's intentional, sure, but I think the shot is unintentional because it's just like a close up of his junk as he's falling down the stairs, and I can't imagine that's something that like they did more than like 3 takes of. You know what I'm saying, to nail that trajectory. But it's hilarious, and seeing the whole Dune sandworm sequence in the basement, basically, where the worm acts like the worm from the trash compactor scene in Star Wars.
Right, yeah.
But it looks like Dune. And Bubba's just like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And you think Bubba's going to go get the gun that he literally just pointed at earlier with like the previous scene, basically. But instead he grabs a kitchen knife instead. Just in his fucking Speedo in the water, just stabbing the Dune worm, dude. It's really fucking funny, in all honesty. Like, this was the kind of horror you can just have a good time and laugh at, honestly. And that's not to say that it's not impressive or to be taken serious, but like, this movie is ridiculous, and I love that it kind of sticks with its ridiculousness throughout it. Obviously, and we've discussed this a bit too. You know, John Carpenter is clearly inspired by Lovecraft. He even said that during our interview with John Carpenter earlier this year. So it's really cool after, you know, knowing that and seeing a lot of Carpenter's work to see other things that are inspired by Lovecraft. But overall, this movie feels like a John Carpenter film throughout it. Like, it has that kind of weird, almost like grayed out look for the psychiatrist scenes going on in the psych ward. Like, to me, that could very much be the same hospital from Halloween 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has the same kind of production value.
In the Mouth of Madness, have you seen that one?
I have not.
That's a Carpenter. That's a Carpenter movie where it's literally just him doing Lovecraft.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Like explicitly, and there's also scenes where they're in a psych ward. Okay. And it feels very similar to how it is in this film as well.
Cool.
That's another good pairing with this movie.
Awesome. Yeah. So I really enjoyed watching this for all those reasons. Obviously, like, the special effects is something to be really impressed by off the time, of course, but they hold up really well. Like, when we were first introduced to the doctor who's decapitated, we see him in this other realm kind of coming back, and we see his body begin to melt. Like, he pushes into his own skin, and it's like almost like a melted candle. Like, he's really waxy, and we see the imprint left on him, and we see what he mutates to later on.
He's all oiled up.
Yeah.
It's nasty. This is so nasty.
It looks so cool throughout this, dude. After the sandworm sequence, if you will, where you're right, the worm's like biting Crawford by the head, like literally just like chomping down on this motherfucker, and we see him kind of mutate from that and transform. Like, he's disgusting looking. Like, he almost looks like Jason Voorhees from the first film, like the little burnt up ghost Jason, you know, or drowned Jason, excuse me. It's just so cool to see some of this stuff in this film. The special effects is really, really impressive. They hold up really well. We also mentioned this is a horny ass movie, of course. I think the one thing I was expecting that we didn't see was the sequence with that same professor where, like, he almost Indiana Jones style, like his skin melts off, like the Nazi does in Raiders, you know. But we don't see. I was really expecting to see, once he grabs the woman's tit, for that to also melt off and to see her kind of get pretty fucked up early on. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I think that would have been kind of a cool bit, but overall, like, I was really entertained of this film, to be real with you. Will, let me hear some of your thoughts. Obviously, you've seen this movie before, but does it hold up for you after a couple rewatches?
Yes, because like I don't watch it every year. I wait like a couple years before I watch it again, because I always kind of forget exactly how things happen and just how weird it really gets. And so it always just blows me away every time I get there. I mean, like, the whole like middle chunk of this movie is ridiculous, and by the time you get to the end, it's just there's so many like different like creature effects in this. Yeah. So much great makeup work. I'm even like some of the more just kind of subtle things, like, I mean, it's barely subtle, but like compared to the other grotesque creatures, Crawford, when he has his, you know, he turns bald and he has the pineal gland thing sticking out of his head. It's this really cool thing where because when you do animatronics like that with makeup, like you obviously that those animatronics have to fit somewhere.
Sure.
But it makes sense for this character that his head is like all bulbous and like growing because it's literally his brain is expanding. So they could fit these animatronics in there, and you can get these wide shots where like the pineal gland just pops out of his head, and it really looks like it's just a part of his body, and that he's this horrible mutation. And like I just love little moments like that, and just like the end where they're like fusing together, and falling apart, turning into skeletons and shit. Like it's like really out there, and like this is at a time like before CGI. That like I can't imagine like writing that in the script and then like being the special effects guy and being like, motherfucker, you're gonna make me do what? Like how do I even make this make any sense like visually? Like how does this work? And they somehow nail it. And it's a gross movie. It really pushes the boundaries of body horror. Like really some of the only movies that I think like come close to this, it's obviously like The Thing, and The Substance.
Oh yeah.
And
you need to watch The Boxer's Omen.
Well, of course, yes. Yeah,
you need to watch that.
Yeah, it's and something I really do like about this movie also is just like that. I love this is why I like Lovecraft, is this idea of we are just these tiny ants existing in this expansive universe, and we literally don't know anything about what the fuck is going on. And there are they mention it in the movie, the very real paradigm shift that happened in science, where they like as soon as they invented the microscope, they look down and they see, holy shit, we are constantly surrounded by these microscopic living organisms that we had no idea they were there. But that's all like the predominant, like if you were to put together all the biomass of every life form, its microbes are the dominant species. They're here everywhere, and we had no idea for the entirety of human history that these creatures existed, and they were right alongside us. We just didn't have the awareness and the tools to see them. And so what Lovecraft does is go, all right, now instead of it being, oh, we're noticing these tiny creatures, what if it's we're the tiny creatures? And now we're noticing the human looking down at us, like on that level of scale. And that there is this whole other world out there that just could exist, and we're hopeless in the face of that change of reality. And yeah, that's what I love about this movie. Even it's very early, like obviously because the book it's based on is from probably like the 20s or 30s or something. So that very old school kind of sci-fi, exploratory kind of science fiction stuff that I really love this movie for all those reasons.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's funny. It's really funny movie.
It is.
And it's one of those situations where it's like the characters themselves, they're taking what's happening to them very seriously, but the situation is what's funny. And I really like that kind of humor. And in a movie like this, it's important for the characters to take what's going on very seriously.
No, absolutely, dude. I agree with everything what you're saying. Like it's cool how this movie works. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very out there on paper. It probably makes no sense to anyone but a director and but an actor. But it sticks the landing pretty well. This is a really enjoyable watch for sure. Dakari, let's hear some of your thoughts on this one, of this also being a first time watch for you.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from this. I didn't know what to expect from this. I'm not really, I'm aware of what body horror is. I've seen some body horror films in my lifetime, but I never really delved into H.P. Lovecraft specifically. So I would say besides the show Lovecraft Country, this is like my first time getting super into Lovecraft, in that area of expertise and whatnot. This movie was a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. But is it good? Yes, I did enjoy it. it's a movie that, in all its fucking bonkers, bananas, craziness, it actually does tell a coherent story. There is a story being told here. It is engrossing enough for the audience to be engaged.
Mm-hmm.
There's even some scientific shit in here that I was really kind of not gravitating towards, but I was interested.
Sure.
It taught me more about the pineal gland than I already knew. And I can't really say that. I can't really say that about a lot of horror
Sure.
movies that I've seen specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm being dead serious, dude. Like this movie definitely had some interesting things about it. Outside of the obvious.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? There's some thought-provoking things in here. Even if I do believe that some of the acting in here is a bit overly dramatic, specifically from Crawford's
Oh yeah,
character in
dude.
particular.
He's fucking nuts in this. Yeah.
This motherfucker's always quivering about something, like Jesus Christ, bro. Then
I'd be
again, I
quivering
don't blame
too
him.
if I saw this shit. Yeah.
Right. Then again, I don't blame him, because how would you react if you seen the shit that he's seen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get it. But yeah, no, like, outside of all the crazy shit, like, there are some actually interesting things to really think about and dwell on scientifically. You know what I'm saying? And I'll definitely give this movie that. But obvious thing of the matter is, this movie is fucking bonkers, bananas, crazy. Like, oh, this movie came out in '86, so there's no CGI. Like, the special effects in this movie are absolutely insane. The
They are.
practical effects in this movie are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Like, there's some parts where I was just staring blankly at the screen because I was just watching it, expecting some crazy shit, and some crazy shit happened, and I was just like, oh, okay, all right, cool. But then some more crazy shit started to happen, and I was like, ugh, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm
Scream it out, why
saying?
don't
Like,
you?
why is there a
Jesus.
fucking why is there a fucking worm growing out of his fucking head? It's like, oh, that's his penile. That's his pineal gland. Okay, okay, that makes sense.
That's the subtext there, by the way.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
penile gland as well.
Oh, that's a great,
Oh, yeah,
great joke
yeah.
too, where we're
Yeah.
talking about the erection
Yeah.
that Bubba has.
Oh, bro, that whole scene where they were going down the stairs and they saw this dune-looking monster, kind of like akin to the Star Wars scene, the Star Wars dumpster scene,
Yeah, the trash compactor.
in A New Hope. Yeah, the trash compactor scene where it's just nothing but liquid and worms just swimming in the liquid, but this is Dune like worm creature that's in the liquid, and they I think Crawford and what's his name,
Bubba, yeah.
Bubba, yeah.
yeah, Crawford and Bubba just like fall down the stairs, and this man has nothing but literally his fucking underwear on, and we see his goddamn crotch and shit, and I'm just like, dude, come on, bro. I didn't need to see that, but okay. Yeah, and don't even get me started with the fucking sexual undertones in this movie. This movie's freak nasty as shit, and I wasn't expecting that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were on some freak nasty shit in this movie. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is happening here? Why is he doing that to her? Why is no, like, it's some weird shit. It's some weird shit in this movie. That's because everybody pretty much is going through a form of psychosis throughout this movie because of the fucking machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nuts, so. But I was invested. It told a good story. It told an intriguing story, and it was good. It
All
was
right.
bonkers bananas, but it was good. I liked it.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into our ratings for From Beyond and our final comments as well. For me, this was a pleasant watch. I really enjoyed this. I think this is one of those things upon rewatches in the future, I'll like it even more and more. So who knows? I don't think it'll be kind of like your situation as well. Like, I don't think this is a yearly watch for me, but I can definitely see this being, a bi-yearly kind of my Halloween rotation. Or just something if I catch it on TV, I'm watching it from there on too. For me, this is going to be a Naboo on the way to Bespin. It's a strong one. And I will say this too. One thing we haven't compared this to. I know this is all practical and it looks all great. The little creatures, like the little pink guys that like bites Bubba at the beginning that we're seeing, like the first kind of.
Oh yeah.
They look fucking great in this. And the only other thing I can compare that to is like some of the ghosts in Ghostbusters, honestly.
Yes.
Like they really look and complement each other well, in my opinion. So yeah, this is a Naboo on the way to Bespin. Will, what would you rate From Beyond? What are your final comments of this film?
This one's a Bestman for me.
Oh, cool.
This one's really solid. I always have such a great time watching it. And to Kari's point about the freak nasty shit, I think it's like that. Like certain horror movies, they can touch on like the uncomfortable nature of obviously like the sexual undertones. It's constantly making you uncomfortable already, and then on top of that, it is a horror film, so it takes it into this really horrible place. Exactly. And you're exploring the deep psychosis and like insecurities that people have. Like I love the twist that like the villain, the scientist, he's into all this like torture BDSM stuff, and then you find out at the end he's impotent and he can't. Like actually, like his dick don't work, so all he does is like take out all of this pent up dysfunction. He can only get any pleasure from hurting people.
Yeah.
And so it's horrible that this is now the guy who becomes this like god from another dimension and can do anything with his flesh, and he can do anything to whatever people he wants. And I think that's, I think that's a really cool idea for like a horror movie villain. And I just, this one's one that I love the special effects like so much. The creature designs are insane, and I love the lighting. A lot of like that purple pink kind of lights is just the symbol for something cosmic is going on, something weird and body horror shit, as we're gonna get into in our next film that we're talking about. But yeah, this one's a classic for me. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the professor and how much of a freak nasty fuck he is. It's almost as if like James Spade from Sex, Lies, and Videotape had like any power. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie or not. But yeah, man.
That's some crazy shit.
Dakari, what would your final comments and ratings be for this film?
Yeah, I would also give this a Naboo on the way to Bespin.
Cool.
There are some parts in this movie that I feel like definitely have not aged particularly too well, specifically some of the acting. But it is a very enjoyable movie. It is something that actually gives you like a bit of, it gives you some things to think about when it comes to like, the scientific aspects of it and whatnot. It's a lot of interesting meditations on different topics, like insecurities, psychosis, all that good stuff. It's interesting things to think about when it comes to, the film and, after you watch it, you know what I'm saying? But my God, this movie's bonkers bananas, yo. Like I was already expecting some crazy shit, but then I got some crazy shit and then some more crazy shit and then some more crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not even just compare with the freak nasty shit. Like it's just crazy shit overall. You know what I'm saying? The special effects are just top notch. The practical effects are top notch. Like I was engaged throughout. I was fucking creeped out in the right places. I was content in the right places because I knew what to expect, and I also cringed at the right places because there were some times where I just didn't know what to expect, and it just hit me out of nowhere sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking Crawford started sucking the blood out of people's eyes, bro. Like what the fuck?
Trying to get to the brain. That's how you get to it.
You know what I'm saying? Oh shit. Okay. This is a very weird movie, but it is worth a watch. Indeed, it definitely is worth a watch. And if I'm having some crazy Halloween theme get together and I got drinks and the like, I'll put this on.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, dude. I love it. Let's go ahead and dive into Color Out of Space. This is a movie I saw in theaters, actually. Mainly because I saw Mandy in theaters. I loved the hell out of that movie. We've already talked about it on the podcast, so I'll refer to that episode to hear my full thoughts on that if you want to. What sold me out of with Color Out of Space is because of the same producers and of course Nick Cage. Wasn't really knowing what to expect of it being a Lovecraft piece or anything like that. And I got to be honest, like I think I like this movie a lot more when I saw it in theaters. But for whatever reason, like I just forgot about half of this movie, to be fully honest with you. Like when I referred back to Color Out of Space, to me it was like a whole bunch of nothing happens for an hour, and then there's like 15 minutes where everything happens. And then rewatching it, that's clearly not the case. I don't know why I just forgot about like half an hour worth of this movie. But yeah, I wasn't like crazy impressed watching it in theaters. There's some things that really, really land of this. And there's also some things that just don't with me. But also, upon rewatching, some of those things that didn't land back then now do land a lot more for me. We'll kind of dive into this in a second, but like, you know, Cheech is in this from Cheech and Chong. You know, like I wasn't a stoner fan back then or watching any of those films. So I was like, who the fuck is this hobo? Like on camera. I don't understand why everyone in the theater's laughing. But yeah, now I get it clearly after seeing Up in Smoke and appreciating, you know, those films. And get why it's so funny to have this crazy hermit in the woods of a cat named G-Spot. And it's this guy who's smoking pot with Nick Cage's son. But yeah, well, let's go ahead and dive into the recap for this one. Will, I'm assuming this was not a first time watch for you as well?
No, I've watched it one time.
Okay, but not in theaters?
Not in theaters.
Okay, cool.
Which I remember when it was coming out, and I'm surprised I didn't go see it. It must have been, was it like a full release? I feel like it was probably not.
I saw it at an Alamo Draft House, so they were getting a lot of limited things. I'm not too sure. This was something we actually, I saw this before, because the only Alamo Draft House in North Carolina is in Raleigh, where I was just living at. I was living in Fayetteville when this came out, so my friends and I, the same friends that I saw Mandy with, and we took the drive up there, we took another trip to go see this movie. So it might have been a limited thing, to be honest.
So, anyways, this movie's also insane. So basically, this is the it's based on the classic H.P. Lovecraft story called The Color from Out of Space, and it's about this family. Obviously, it's Nick Cage's family. He lives out in the middle of like bumblefuck nowhere. He's for some reason has an alpaca farm because somebody probably told him that was a great idea. But it's not. and like he's out there with his family. His teenage daughter is like this really weird kind of emo, edgy, new age kind of like witch girl, and like she really hates being out there in the middle of nowhere, of course. And we get introduced to this character. He's a hydrologist, I think. They make the joke like a lot of times that like multiple times in the movie that nobody knows what his actual like job is. But yeah, this guy's going around trying to check the water to make sure the water isn't like tainted or contaminated in some way in this location. And they're all chilling one night, and all of a sudden there's this massive asteroid just like crash lands in their front yard, and along with it is this really powerful, just emanating color that's like hard to kind of describe. Obviously, the movie kind of visualizes it as this, this purplish, pinkish kind of white color, and with that, things start to shift and change and mutate, and all these unexplainable things start to happen around the family's home and in the woods surrounding them. Like all these weird ass crazy plants are growing everywhere. The youngest son is hearing fucking voices coming out of the well. And this shit is like contaminating everything, like all the food and all of the water that they're drinking. So they're all getting like basically drugged by this contamination, and that's when things start to really get crazy. All the alpacas that they have just fused together straight out of the dog scene from The Thing. There's this horrifying fucking monster. Um, the light starts to get more and more powerful, and you can see that it's like a living entity with all these like tendrils sticking out, and it hits the mother and her son while they're like holding on to each other, like afraid for their lives, and then they fuse together, which is really like, you're not expecting that to happen to like a little kid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a horrible, horrible, just terrible thing to happen to somebody. Um, and like everybody's losing their minds. This is like the most traumatic thing ever. They can't leave because the car doesn't work anymore. They're trying to keep their mother and the little brother alive, but they're in constant agony, writhing in pain. Uh, and Nick Cage just completely fucking loses it by this point. He goes out, he shoots the alpacas, and then he goes in to shoot the mother and his son, but then he's like, I can't do it, basically. And he just kind of, that's when he snaps completely and he starts believing like everything's okay. He starts seeing the family just like chilling in the living room, and he's just like living like normal. Meanwhile, the daughter and the other son are trying to escape, but the dumbass fucking son thinks he hears their dog down the well, so he runs down the well, and then he gets, completely taken over by the color. And then the daughter's basically just given up all hope. She gets thrown, like Nick Cage throws her into the room with the mom son fusion thing, and it goes crazy and turns into this monster. And at that point, we get the hydrologist comes back with the sheriff because they found some fucking awful, fused animals together in the woods somewhere, and so they're coming to check on
G Spot, the cat. Yeah,
G Spot was in there. And then he shows up. They're like, okay, well, Nick Cage is acting like really sus right now. What the hell's going on? They save the daughter from being like mauled to death by her mother. But that's when Nick Cage actually does finally shoot the mother and put her out of her misery, but it's only because he's lost his mind so much that he thinks that she's downstairs, just chilling. So he's like, oh, that's not even my family anymore. Like, it's okay. I can shoot it and kill it. And then it looks like Nick Cage goes to shoot the color as it's like chasing after them, but then it looks like to the other cop that he's about to shoot his own kids. So then the cop shoots Nick Cage. And so Nick Cage dies. Then the hydrologist and the cop go to find the hobo. The hobo's already long dead. Then a Evil Dead 2 tree comes out of nowhere and eats the cop. And then the hydrologist ends up back at the house. The daughter has just completely like given up to the color, and he gets completely absorbed by it. She even gives this vision to the hydrologist of like the world that the color comes from. And then like the whole entire like estate just completely gets enveloped by the light as it just kind of shoots back off into space, leaving the entire area just completely bleached white in ash, stripping all the color from the whole area, as if it just devoured the color and left, back into space, leaving the hydrologist alive to basically give our opening and ending monologues, where he's literally just reading pages from the original story from H.P. Lovecraft. But yeah, that's Color Out of Space.
Yeah, man. Real quick, I want to correct myself. That's Chong, not Cheech. Fucked that up. Don't want any comments to kill me. Don't get mad, dude. Those were the stoner movies before my time, dude. I'm a Smokey and Craig kind of guy. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, dude. Like I said, I watched this in theaters, and I remember walking away just not like crazy impressed by this thing. And upon rewatching it, I'm even less impressed, to be honest with you. There's things about this I really, really like. There's also some things that just don't land at all to me. And the one thing I somehow forgotten about when watching this in the theater, I don't know how, there's this aggravating ass dog whistle going on through like half the movie, dude.
Yeah.
That shit is so annoying. Like, genuinely. I understand artistically what we're trying to do with it. I get it. But like, as a viewer, like turn it down a bit. Like, oh my God, the mixing is just not there for me technically. I don't remember what my thoughts were coming out of the theater about that. Like I said, I don't know how the hell I forgot that this movie had that thing. I had to pause while rewatching this. Like, don't tell anyone. I took some Tylenol while watching this movie, though. I got a little headache. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, it genuinely, like, I had to have a little bit of a breather, dude, because that thing is just constantly going throughout the whole fucking thing. And I know our audience couldn't tell or give a fuck about this, but like the way my apartment is set up now is like living room in the middle, obviously, office is behind my couch, and we have a surround sound system. So like right next to the office door is like where the subwoofer is and the two like back speakers right against that wall. Kate's closing the door and like put a towel under the shit so she's not hearing that fucking dog whistle as she's doing work in here. Yeah, like I don't know. I think some of this stuff really works. I love Nick Cage in this. I saw this because of Nick Cage more than anything. But I can't help but like notice that, when he's breaking down the car, that's great, of course, but it just feels like Mandy more than anything to me. And I get that because it has the same producers and all that. But I just don't feel enough separation between his character Red in Mandy and I forget his character's name in Color Out of Space, but the dad in this, regardless.
Nathan.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I love his daughter's great in this. I love seeing the witchcraft, the Wiccan stuff kind of come to play. Like when we get this scene where she's doing this ritual and she's doing all this like self-harm in order to complete this ritual. She needs the blood, obviously. She's carving these symbols in herself. Like seeing her come out, like that was a body horror experience I wasn't expecting throughout this film. And I think that's a really cool subversion of expectations throughout this and to kind of seeing other elements of body horror implemented to this. The little brother, the one that gets fused with the mother, great child actor. I haven't seen him in anything else that I know of, at least. But he's freaky enough, dude. But like
he's in a couple things. He's in The Conjuring, The Last Rites. So I guess it's the newest one that just
it just came out.
That one and The Devil Made Me Do It. He's also in The Haunting of Hill House. I remember him being really good in that. The Netflix show.
Yeah.
He's been in a few things. He was also in WandaVision. He's one of the kids.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even realize it was WandaVision. Like Tommy or Billy or whatever.
Billy. He's Billy.
Okay, and they get recast for later on, right? Yeah, they age up. Cool. Didn't even realize that. That's nice. He kills it in this. He's just enough weird to where he reminds me of like Haley Joel Osment almost with Sixth Sense. The middle-aged brother, I mean, he's an outcast. You know what I'm saying? He's just kind of fine. He's whatever to me. Now that I've appreciated and grown up a little bit and have watched and experienced other things in life, I really love Chong in this film. I love that he's just this pot-smoking hermit that like they just let him live on the property even though has no reason to be there. You know, it's very fitting for him to kind of squeeze into the story. The mother I also really appreciated, I think, more than anyone else in this film. She reminds me so much of the woman from Hereditary. We just have this kind of mental snap, and I think we see it demonstrated with her best or better than anyone in this. The hydrologist is just whatever for me in this film. He's not really any standout thing. At first, for whatever reason, like when I look back at this, I thought it was Justice Smith from Detective Pikachu. Like he felt that kind of like surface level for me. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like this movie has a lot of cool things and a lot of like I love the color. Literally, I think visually this movie's great. There's a lot of things that work about it, but for whatever reason, like it just doesn't for me, man. That dog whistle takes off at least 2 points alone for me. Like it's just so aggravating throughout the entirety of this. And I do think this is mainly because it's the producers of Mandy, because I see a lot of the things I love about Mandy are the things I don't like in this one. Mandy has this like really overwhelming and overpowering score throughout all of it. Like that makes synth kind of feel where we're like, but as we're cutting between scenes and gearing up for some of like the demon fights in that film, and we kind of have the same approach with the score in this film. And it just has me fucking with the remote the whole time because I'm so sick of not being able to hear dialogue versus having my ears blown out with the score and then just having ringing constantly of this dog whistle. The sound really takes me out of it. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of the ending monologue. I know it's literally from the pages of Lovecraft. It's cool. I get it. It just isn't for me. I do really love the other side of the ending where we do have the color like stripped away from the world, if you will, or at least that area. I don't know. I really wish we could have seen a bit during that ending sequence on how this affected the rest of the world, because while like I get it's a very self-contained story, it's focusing on this piece of property within this town in the middle of nowhere, and we're really just focusing on this family. This is such a big thing. Like I'm curious to see how it affects everything else. You know what I'm saying? And I just wish we saw a bit more of that, to be honest. Like, just take a step back from the family for even just a moment or so. Like, it could just be like a shot or a scene as simple as cutting to a TV and we're seeing a live report on other residents or other people across the state or the city even, and their reactions to this. So I don't know. I understand why it's closed off, but it doesn't sit right with me, I guess.
Yeah, the one thing you get is like the hunter that shows up with,
yeah,
like, with like the mangled corpse of like the fused together animals, and it's like, okay, some people are actually noticing that there's something crazy going on in these woods.
Yeah. Because we don't even see like the mayor really come. I know she has a brief appearance later on. I think they're in that same scene actually.
Yeah, you'd think, because she's also like kind of portrayed as like kind of a bitch, and
Yeah.
so you're like, oh, she's probably it's gonna wrap back around by the end, and she's gonna show up and get her comeuppance or whatever because she's trying to get the land.
Yeah, something
and
like
now
that.
she's just completely like ignored in the movie. You would think that she would have showed up. I almost thought they were gonna set up like a thing where the hydrologist is like, hey, like this land is completely fucked up, like it's contaminated. But she's like, hey, I want that land. I want to buy that land. I don't want it getting out there that the land is contaminated. And you have a little bit of like a Jaws thing with the mayor.
Yeah.
But that just is kind of this plot line that, it doesn't really go anywhere. It was a little, I feel like that might have maybe taken away from the movie, making it more complex with that, but I don't know.
No, I hear you, and I agree. I would have loved to see something like that. Well, let me hear some of your overall thoughts and dive into this film.
Yeah, this is also another one. Like, I agree with you where it's like the first time I watched it, I was a little underwhelmed. And I don't remember if I had seen Mandy before or after that.
Okay.
But I haven't seen Mandy again since whenever it was that last time, probably like almost 5 years ago now.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so, but like I'm remembering that movie, and like in my head, I feel like even though that's not an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation whatsoever, I feel the kind of like psychological side to that movie, and just even the way that movie is filmed. It's these just long, droning, psychedelic kind of scenes where, like, it just really like pushes the boundaries of like, okay, how long can this go on for, this horrible thing, and then it cuts to the next thing, and it's like Mandy's a really mesmerizing movie, and this is like I only saw it once, really drunk, and it still left an impression on me. And this is a movie where it's like you're dealing with this idea of this entity is warping everybody's space time and their bodies and their minds, and I feel like they play it a little bit too safe. Like it's very conventional, and it just feels like it was an opportunity for some people who really love The Thing to just be like, let's just do The Thing, but like in the woods with Nicolas Cage.
And see, I hadn't seen The Thing when I first time watching it too, so maybe I didn't make that connection initially. But watching it this time, you're right. Like the alpaca stuff is straight the dogs from The Thing. You're right, absolutely.
And it's more limited too. You know what I mean? Like you want like a movie like this. Okay, it's been like 30 years since The Thing came out. What can we do with the sequel? Let's up the ante with this crazy creature. But it's like you get like one shot of it and then a couple close-ups of like the heads blowing up when Nick Cage starts shooting at it. And it just like left me being like, all right, well, you tried upping the ante, but then it was like less at the same time. And obviously, I'm sure this movie didn't have like a huge budget or anything like that. They probably spent it all on Nick Cage and Chong or whatever. But And that's kind of the thing with this movie is especially after like just watching like From Beyond, which I think covers a lot of the same kind of themes, of course. um like it feels a little safe. It feels like, all right, people, like, let's just make a movie where Nick Cage just goes like crazy for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and he could not phone it in, but like, because yeah, he's great, he's still very fun to watch in this movie. But it felt like it was relying too much on that rather than what actually would this be like to live through something like this.
Yeah.
There's elements of things in here where it's like these insecurities of these characters start to get brought out, because there are some like occasional like really human moments in this,
Mm-hmm.
where it kind of shocked me how like complex the characters were a little bit. Like there's this layers of like Nicolas Cage's wife. She's been going through like, I guess, breast cancer treatments, and she recently probably had a surgery to remove her breasts, and she's very insecure about that. She doesn't really know how to be sensual with Nick Cage, like, but he's like this good husband who still loves his wife no matter what. But it's like introducing these elements of real life body horror and body dysmorphia, and then to see that, and the tragic fate that she has towards the end of it, where she does get turned into like, she has no control over her body, and she becomes this terrible thing. And even still then, Nick Cage can't yet, like, he can't let her go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some really good shit, and I wish it, like, there's elements of drama here that I feel like we could have gotten something a little bit more meaningful. And it's very subtle. I guess not really that subtle also, but like the daughter clearly has a history of like probably self-harm,
Yeah.
and things like that, and that's why that allusion to it keeps getting brought up, by the end of it, where she's obviously cut herself all over her body to try to do this ritual. And like, yeah, like the movie could have gone for something that took itself a little bit more seriously. Like, I see the potential
Mm.
to where this could have been a much more like art house rather than schlock.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously that's, they when they were making this movie, they were like, no, we're doing schlock.
Mhm.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, I see the potential for like they kind of, I want to see this movie get remade in some way where it's, just another attempt at adapting the source material and actually really play it straight and make it more psychological.
Yeah, I agree. With Nick Cage again.
Yeah, with Nick Cage. And because he could do it he could do serious, like, he really can. Like,
Mhm.
if you told them that, oh, let's do like a real performance here,
Not just Mandy, attempt of Mandy, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, that freak out scene in the car, dude, is just, it feels like, all right, same producers. Remember that thing we did in the bathroom last movie? Let's do that again. Let's try that here, but it's a car.
And Mandy is so insane too, almost more insane than this movie is, and it still has that grit, that realism, and that real like emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like this movie lacks.
I agree.
But taking it all on its own, it is still, by the second half, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like I said, all those kind of good moments. Suddenly, like, it's really, there aren't really that many jokes in the second half of the movie. It takes itself very seriously as you're delving into the psychosis between all these characters, and some really genuinely cool psychedelic imagery. Like, I love the bit where the hydrologist gets back to the house, and there's kind of the ghost images of the family, and he's running away from like, the black hole that's like sucking him up, and there's like the after images of himself, and it's a really cool, well shot, like, sequence.
Yeah,
And,
most of the movie's well shot in general. Like I guess it's a pretty movie more than anything in its entirety. I just wish it started to lane a little bit better, to be honest. So I feel you on that, dude. I feel you. Dakari, let's hear some of your thoughts on this piece, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in similarities, as far as thoughts are concerned with you guys. I mean, this movie's just fine. It wasn't terrible. It's not one of those movies I just, hated life watching. It's just a tolerable movie to watch. I don't think it's anything super spectacular. The movie takes itself way too seriously, and I feel like that's one of the big issues with it. I think it takes itself way too serious. Like, it's going for schlock, but I feel like a little bit more self-awareness could have made the schlock a little bit more like entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Because they're entertaining bits and pieces in this movie, of course, but a lot of times, man, I was just like, I'm not really I'm not really like having fun with this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I get
And
that.
I'm not sure if that was the intent or not, but I wasn't really having fun with what I was watching. You know, it was mostly like disparity and depression and psychosis again and hauntedness and just yeah, like things get weird here. Like a family is pretty much torn apart throughout the entire runtime of the movie. And I can't even say that. I mean, yes, while the family members are, interesting to clamor about, I couldn't really feel for them because 9 times out of 10, a lot of them were really made some dumb decisions.
No, I get that.
Honestly, dude. Honestly, dude, like, bro, why is that little kid? I mean, cause I can't even blame the little kid because the little kid, he must have been an easy target for the alien. He
Hmm.
must have easily been an easy target for the aliens because he was younger and he was a little bit more gullible than the other two kids. So, I mean, it made sense. But it's just like a whole movie is just build up, and then the other two siblings are not even watching the kid. They're barely even watching the fucking kid, and I'm just like, yo, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And then you got Nicolas Cage just spiraling out of control, not even knowing what the fuck is going on.
Hmm.
And then you got the wife who's trying to figure out what's going on, but it's too late because she is affected by it all before she even figures it out. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the latter half of the film kind of gets interesting and more entertaining because you got the family actually trying to do something and figure the shit out. You know what I'm saying? And then you got this forced in love interest with this hydrologist who Nick Cage's daughter has a bit of a crush on, but she keeps calling him a weird guy. It's just, I mean,
It's
like
kind of odd. I'm glad you brought that up.
it's a,
Actually, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting movie. It's an interesting movie. It's not terrible by any means. There's a
Hmm.
quote in the movie that I really liked where Nicolas Cage says, "A dream you dream alone is just a dream. A dream you dream together is reality," which I really liked. I really, really dug that quote. It's probably something that Lovecraft wrote. I wouldn't know, but I'd appreciated that. But I really wish that this movie didn't take itself too seriously and didn't take too much of its time because it really takes a little bit for the gears to get going.
Hmm.
And when it gets going, it's just like, okay, it's too fucking late because all the fucking family members are doomed at this point. You know what I'm saying? And the only one that could probably save these guys is the hydrologist. You know what I'm saying? Which, don't get me wrong, I liked seeing the hydrologist being the sole survivor at the end, because one of the things I did not like about From Beyond is that the first person to die was the black guy.
Hmm.
Yep.
I didn't like that at all because Hollywood has a history of having black characters die first in their movie. So I like the fact that in this movie, the black character is the sole survivor. I like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, it was entertaining. I mean, it was entertaining. It wasn't terrible. I just felt like in order to drive that schlock that it was going for home,
Hmm.
have a little bit more self-awareness of the situation because it really, really takes its time to get the gears going. Like I was just like, okay, like when's shit gonna actually hit the fan? And shit did actually hit the fan, but by the time it did, it was pretty much too late because everybody in the house was affected by it. You know what I'm saying? Just like, okay, well, I couldn't even tell whether Nicolas Cage was trying to save his family or kill his family at one point. Like the psychosis was just all over the place.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's kind of what it makes sense because everybody like psychosis is a thing with Lovecraft. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense, but it's just like I don't know, man. There's some parts that are a bit all over the place, and the movie definitely does take its time to really get to the shit. You know what I'm saying? But when it does get to the shit, it gets to the shit, and for the most part, it is entertaining. It's just it's not that great to me. Serviceable.
Fair, dude. I think it's funny I'm the one who's bitching about the dog whistle, to be honest.
Dude, that dog whistle was annoying as shit. I forgot to bring that up. That dog whistle was terrible.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what the
I
fuck
hated
they were smoking when they thought that was a good idea in the editing room, to be honest.
Yeah, that always bothers me when there is a movie that or TV show where they're just like, oh, the characters are hearing this really like intense sound that's really horrible to listen to. And it's like, all right, well, I don't want to listen to that. I'm in the audience. Like,
I don't want to listen to that either.
Like, I'm trying to enjoy this experience. You should do something that's like approximating what the characters are hearing. You know, like,
yeah,
that's fine. There's this one movie that I fucking absolutely adore that I didn't want to make you guys sit through this Monsters Mayhem. But it's called The Outwaters, and it's this found footage movie.
Oh, okay.
And there's one scene. I love that movie to death, but there's one fucking scene where just the most horrific, like tech distortion sound effect for like way too long. It's like 20 seconds, and I'm like, I hate this. I almost like blew out my speakers when I fucking listened to it the first time. The second time I was watching it with somebody else, and I was just like, all right, I love this movie, but this one scene, I'm just muting it. I'm muting it for now. And this is what's happening, you know?
Fair.
And I'm like, it's just annoying. Like, who wants to hear that? Like,
yeah.
Come on.
It's odd. I have to check out The Outwaters. I was just looking up a second ago. It looks cool.
Dude, that movie, that's another movie where it's like the first half, not a whole lot happens, but then the second half is just the most batshit insane. Also Lovecraftian kind of horror, psychedelic
cool. Okay.
kind of time space manipulating shit going on. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to check that out at some point, dude. But also send me the timestamp so I can mute my shit in advance.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and dive into our ratings for this one. I'll go ahead and start up first. Maybe this was a Naboo when I first watched it out of theaters, but upon watching it at home, this is a Hoth on the way to Naboo. I really just hate the sound more than anything in this movie. Like, if anything, this is an example of what not to do with sound design, in my opinion. Love Nick Cage to death. I always will. I love his performance in this. I mean, he's cool. He's great. You know, but like, I just wish I had more, and I just wish it wasn't so copy and paste from Mandy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's necessarily Nick Cage's fault, because I see a lot of, and I'm surprised it wasn't even brought up during this. I see a lot of like The Shining in Nick Cage's character. Like, I feel like Jack Torrance going through. We kind of get that spiral, if you will, throughout this. And funny enough, we even see some Shining reference in From Beyond, like for the axe through the door too. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish this felt like it more of its own thing than it really is. Maybe if the Mandy producers weren't attached, I would feel differently. But I also feel like because they were attached, we get visually a really gorgeous movie. So I don't know, pretty movie, but like I said about other pretty movies before, just because your movie looks good doesn't mean it is a good movie in general. So it's fine. Yeah. It's not horrible. I'll probably rewatch this one day, but like if you want to guys know how I feel about this trilogy, like this was the movie that like made me stop buying Blu-rays for like everything I saw in theaters. This was the one I remember vividly. Like, I don't need to own this one. I don't need to spend, excuse me, $20 in a movie that didn't have a digital code in 4K that I was just mad about. And I still kind of feel the same way. It's worth a watch. If you enjoy Nick Cage, for sure, it's definitely worth a watch. If you enjoy Lovecraft, it's definitely worth a watch as well. But just make sure you have your Tylenol nearby.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but well, let's hear your rating and final comments for Color Out of Space.
Yeah, this movie I think is also just fine. Like, it's I don't think this is going to be like a classic, you know, looking back in the future, like the way that I look back at something like From Beyond. You know, and that movie still really holds up as this solid piece of, you know, like probably one of the better Lovecraft adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to Kari's point, where he's like, the movie should have leaned in more into being like taking itself less seriously, and I feel the opposite. I think it should be more serious, and I think that is part of the problem, right? Is that it doesn't know what it wants to be. I feel like it's not as delicate with balancing that tone. Because like From Beyond, I think balances that humor with the horror very well.
That's exactly my point. You know, it was serious in the right parts and it was funny in the right parts. You know, exactly my point.
Yeah, and that's just something walking away from it that I still feel is like I feel like a lot there's like I don't love the Cheech and Chong cameo scene. It's like this you know like all right, now we're going to the hobo that smokes weed and I feel like it that's where it's like that feels like they were trying to make the movie like more marketable towards like you know like younger like teenagers at the time or something like oh they'll find this like really funny or even like adults that obviously grew up watching like movies with him in it and it's just I wish that they just leaned into like actually truly trying to adapt like the material which obviously that's not in a story written in the 1920s or whatever about you know there's a pot smoking hobo in the middle of the woods with a cat named G-Spot. Although you don't want to know what H.P. Lovecraft's cat's name is, if you want to look that up.
No,
let me look this up, dude. Keep going.
God, let me look it up. Let me look it up, bro.
Yeah,
that's the first Google search. When I type in H.P. Lovecraft, I shit you not.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit, but H.P. Lovecraft, but yeah.
No,
that's crazy.
No,
yeah, wow,
no.
And that's I wanted to touch on that really quick because this is our episode talking about Lovecraft. He's kind of somebody that you cannot escape from his influence. He is now become like the creatures he speaks about in his books. It's just this force that's constantly impacting everything. You cannot avoid his influences. And he definitely wrote and channeled his insecurities and his xenophobia into his writings. You get like a lot of his work are allegories for his fear of the other and people from the immigrants coming to America. He was terrified of them and he wrote them as if they were monsters and stuff like that, and it's terrible. And I will not give him that excuse of like, oh well, he was of the time. Well, there were a lot of good people. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of good people back then too.
He named so the like cat when 37, like
yeah. And I like, and that's the thing with Lovecraft is like you have to acknowledge the whole side of it. And so when I, look into his work, I'm looking at it as if like I'm looking into the psyche of a broken man when you read this stuff.
Okay,
like, this is a guy this is a guy that was terrified all the time. He could barely leave his house. He was so anxious about everything. So of course he was a fucking racist because he would see people he didn't understand talking a language he didn't get, and then he'd go run up into his attic and write a story about how he saw these like horrifying creatures coming off the boat walking into the city or whatever. And like you have to see that as like a critique of his own mind as well. Like it's all of his insecurities he wore on his sleeve, and it's all there. And so I look at this as an analysis of this broken mind. But you have to also appreciate what he did for sci-fi and horror in general. And, yeah.
Beautifully put. I'm glad you brought that up.
Complicated figure, but yeah. But anyways, my actual rating for this is going to be a Naboo. I think that it's just okay. Like it could be better. Could have been way worse.
Could have been so much worse.
And there are some really genuinely great visuals, and shockingly like and I'm glad you said it, Max, that the wife character, wanted to bring up her name, Jolie Richardson is the actress. I do think she is kind of the standout actress or actor in this movie. Like I think she even like while Nick Cage is hamming it up, going crazy, she's actually giving like a down to earth performance.
Yeah.
Like when she starts losing her mind, that felt real. Like I felt her frustration, in contrast to Nick Cage, going, Ghost Rider or something. But yeah, this one was it's a movie that I'll probably watch again someday, but it's not really at the top of my list of things to rewatch.
Okay, beautifully put, man. Beautifully put. I love it. Dakar, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on your final ratings on this one, dude. Just because like this is something you weren't exposed to whatsoever before this episode. Let me hear your final comments and ratings on Color Out of Space.
Yeah, also Naboo.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, also Naboo. The movie's beautifully shot. For the most part, it is well acted, even though I feel like Jolie Richardson pretty much stole the show. Um, some really interesting moments in the movie, some really entertaining moments in the movie. When the shit hits the fan, it hits the fan, and you know you're on the edge of your seat. But it's just like I feel like the build up just took up most of the movie, and a lot of nothing was happening during that build up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I like just a lot of nothing, and I get because I get it's because of the ever-growing tension that the aliens have landed and have spread their spirits across their land and whatnot, and have infected them with all types of psychosis and crazy shit. I get that, but it just really takes a while to really get going. And like Will said earlier, this movie just does not really balance the humor and the seriousness as well as a From Beyond. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the schlock is there, like I said, but you know, the reason why From Beyond is talked about so much is because the schlock was actually schlocking in From Beyond. I can't say the same for Color Out of Space. I
Mm-hmm.
can say there's some moments in here that definitely creeped me out and had me like wincing a little bit, specifically near the end where the mom and the son kind of merged.
That's the
It was
best part of the
just
movie.
Yeah,
the
yeah, I agree.
best part of the movie. It was so weird, and then everybody was at such a crossroads, and Nick Cage didn't know what to do. He didn't know whether to kill the family or kill himself, which I did appreciate, But the movie, by the time we get to that point, it's just too late, and then everybody dies, and the hydrologist is a survivor, which I also liked. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted a little bit more from it. Um, it's not terrible, but I just feel like it definitely could have been a fuller package than it was.
Sure.
You know, yeah, that goes in my thoughts.
Okay, okay. I'm surprised mine was the lowest rating for this. I'm not gonna lie, dude. But I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? God, I'm still blown away. I even saw this in theaters. To be honest, like looking back on it, like this is one of those weird kind of niche things that I'm just surprised I caught. But then again, I'm surprised I caught Mandy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for Lovecraft this week on the podcast for Monster Mayhem. Next week we'll go ahead and tease this real quick a little bit. Plan is to have a nice big episode discussing all the Final Destination sequels. Jeffrey Reddick should be back for that episode. Of course, he guest started the podcast discussing the original Final Destination a couple years ago on Galaxy of Film. So love to get him back on here and discuss these other films finally. With the event, if scheduling doesn't work out, we do have a backup plan, and we do plan on just shifting episodes around, so you'll still get the Final Destination episode part of this Monster Mayhem. But yeah, just depends on scheduling, of course. It's always up in the air. For our listeners, look forward to that. But yeah, guys, it's going to wrap it up for everything. I mean, I don't have anything else to plug. We've already talked about, Acts of Violence is dropping soon, October 10th. Man of the House is already out. I know that's not a horror film, but we're still going to plug the hell out of it while we can. We've got a lot of great stuff in the works. Like I said, the GoFundMe for our next two productions is up and running. Link down below for that if you want to support that. You can support all of our other friends' works and their businesses down below too. Links below for their stuff as well. We really appreciate you guys checking out and giving them the time of day. They all deserve it. Incredible artists themselves. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Will, do you have anything you want to end for this first episode of Monster Mayhem? Any final comments?
Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into H.P. Lovecraft and his kind of mark that he's left on cinema and horror in general. It's definitely left an impact on my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that half of the movies that I've made have some kind of Lovecraftian influence to it. I think that's just kind of my favorite type of horror. And
Hell
so
yeah.
that that's just always something that I'm thinking about constantly. So that's why I wanted to talk about it here today.
Hell yeah. And what a good way to start Monster Mayhem for this season, guys. We got some great stuff coming for you guys the rest of the season, so stay tuned. We also got some more great stuff when we get back to the regular Season 4 of Galaxy of Film for November and finishing off the rest of the year for December, of course, too. So stay tuned for it all. But that's going to go and wrap it up for this time, guys. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us an iTunes and Spotify review. It truly does help with the show much more than you can imagine. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Peace.
You can find all our other podcasts, original films, articles, and music on our website, galaxyoffilm.com. We're also on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and you can join our Patreon for exclusive content and our Facebook fan club for early access to our films.